Hi YouTube! Welcome back to another video! Today we are gonna be watching Are Stingrays Overpowered? By TierZoo. This guy, if you don't know, makes gamified evaluations of like ecosystems and creatures, animals. It's not even just animals, right? Sometimes he does some plants, sometimes some funguses, fungi. And it's like he presents it as an MMO, and it is so fun. If you don't know him, like, do you live under a rock? Maybe. Sorry. But yeah. If you like this sort of stuff, please click like and subscribe so you can check out whatever we post. More incoming, by the way. But yeah, let us jump into the video. Are Stingrays actually overpowered? I don't know. I never thought about it. It always felt like kind of mid to low tier for me. Whoa, okay.
Thanks to Idle Obelisk Miner for sponsoring
I take it
this
back.
video. Sharks are some of the most fearsome DPS builds the game has ever known. Their high mobility, insane damage, and utterly broken perception stat make them an absolute run-ender for any player not prepared to deal with them. Yet, of the cartilaginous fish faction, sharks comprise only around half of all playable characters. What's going on with this other half?
I know this song.
While sharks are overall pretty straightforward,
from a
rays
meme, I
have
think.
some of the strangest, most interesting abilities and strategies in the entire.
Look at that guy! Look at his smile! He's such a cutie, isn't he? Look at his smile! Let's go back a little bit.
Rays have some of the strangest, most interesting abilities and
look at that smile! I love Stingrays.
Strategies in the entire game.
I mean, they are super weird, but I do like them.
Stingrays have a lot of interesting attributes, but without a doubt their most notable trait
they move very weirdly.
This is essentially a giant serrated tooth attached to their tail,
capable
of inflicting devastating damage in the blink of an eye.
Yep, as a very famous Australian man would attest if he could. Rest in peace. Fucking legend.
So naturally, every new player looks at that and thinks they'll be able to one-shot the final boss if they spec into it. But, grievous as this attack may be, relying on a stinger as your primary combat move is a massive noob trap. Stingers have the worst accuracy rating of any weapon in the game. They frequently whiff entirely during combat.
Really?
And even when they do connect...
I guess, yeah, that's true. Because I was thinking, no, but like, aren't they quite good with it? Usually, but not really. They just use the... Sorry, I'm using my own hands, but you can't see it. But like, they use their claws. Like, they hold the prey together, and then they deliver the venom, right? Through the stinger. So yeah, I guess they... I don't know. Some animals are quite precise with their tail strikes, no? I was gonna say, like, oh, maybe having like your weapon on a tail is not the best idea, but no. Some animals, like, straight up are very precise with the tail. Specifically with tail whips, like, I mean, like, some are incredibly devastating.
They often land as a glancing blow that does a fraction of the move's base damage. It's just very difficult to aim a weapon when it's as far as possible from your character's eyes and center of mass.
Yeah.
Against any target smaller than the Stingray itself, it's borderline impossible to connect with this. So for a lot of novice Stingray players, they find themselves panic mashing the attack button and dealing 0 damage. Now this isn't to say Stingers can never be viable, but look at the builds that actually make them work. They either spec heavily into accuracy bonus perks, or they immobilize the target with a grab first, and then
that's what I meant. See?
Insects get away with sting.
They hold it. Let me go back a little bit. Can we? Boing. It's hard to tell here, but he's holding the spider with his claws, and then he strikes with a stinger.
Point blank range. Insects get away with stinger spam because their compound eyes perk buffs their accuracy high enough to land the attack. And scorpions, of course,
I love the language he uses.
Hold their target in place for as long as they need. The Stingray has neither, and as a result, it really cannot rely on its high damage to ward off attackers. And this is reflected in the rest of the Stingray's kit.
I mean,
when a player's
having
toxic
eyes underwater doesn't really add much, does it?
They tend to not also waste points on camouflage, and prefer brightly colored palette swaps.
The blue-ringed octopus! Also, this is the text box from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Ah, man. Yes, I am a nerd. What of it?
Now, while the Stingray's
I like the
combat prowess
blue-ringed
is
octopus.
less
It is
impressive than it
lethal,
looks,
deadly,
this doesn't mean
but I
the
love
build
him.
itself
He's
is
cute.
low-tier trash. So, how do their other traits compare? As far as mobility goes, rays have a truly unorthodox movement kit. Most marine vertebrates rely on their caudal fins as their primary way
just
of generating
wiggles
thrust.
to
But
swim.
because stingrays have opted for a tail stinger,
or
this
he
option
actually
is unavailable
flaps.
to
I
them.
forgot about that.
Instead,
Some
they
of them
were
do
forced to
have
put all their
wings,
evolution
kinda.
points into buffing the size and
Underwater
strength of their
wings.
pectoral fins, turning them into these massive wing-like structures. Most other builds use pectoral fins primarily just for steering, and by buffing them up to be capable of generating any meaningful speed, rays have
Also, where is the stinger? Like, if we can get it sideways just for a little bit. Like, is the stinger here? Is the stinger here? Is the stinger here? I genuinely don't even know. Like, we all know rays do have a stinger, but I have no idea where.
any meaningful speed, rays have also cranked their turn speed way up, making them incredibly nimble and capable of changing directions quicker than almost any other build in the game. Which
wow, that was cool.
Because
let me check that again.
Changing directions with their turn speed way
Look at that. How quick
making them
he
incredibly
turns.
nimble and capable of changing directions quicker than almost any other build
in
in
1
the
second
game,
he did a full
which
180.
they really need because even when maxed out, their actual top speed remains pretty mid. So while the Stingray's overall mobility is pretty solid, in practice, actually escaping combat requires a lot of skill to pull off, as rather than simply speeding away from an attacker, they must dodge the attack itself and attempt to hide during the attack's end lag. Which brings me to my next point. The Stingray's stealth stat is excellent, with an asterisk. The Stingray's flat shape gives it a massive advantage.
It's kind of like the flatfish, the flounder, right? I think the flounder does the same thing, like the exact same thing. As in, he evolved specifically to go like a little under the sand and just like flop there. Or rather, flounder
attempting
there.
to hide on the seabed. By lying flat against the seafloor, and perhaps even slightly into the seafloor, they can become almost completely
Look
undetectable.
at that. I always find
it's
this
so good
so
that
cool.
Most of the time when a player is hit by their sting attack, it's because they accidentally stepped on or bumped into the ray, rather than deliberately dug it out. However, there's a reason most fish opt for a body plan that minimizes their horizontal silhouette. And this is because in the water, shadows are an extremely important part of the calculus when it comes to stealth, since shadows are not just visible on the seafloor, but the entire water column. A wider frame means a bigger shadow, and so anytime the ray is anywhere other
like, but do fish really like look downwards to see like if there's something shining, or not shining, the opposite, like casting a shadow on the the seabed? But no, actually, yeah, that's true. There is like a column of shadow, even though it's kind of hard for us to distinguish. It may not be the case for fish eyes. I don't know. I know fuck all about biology.
Then flush against the seafloor, such as when it's moving, it's actually one of the least stealthy builds in the game. This can be somewhat mitigated by sticking as close as possible to the bottom when repositioning, but this comes with its own set of risks and doesn't fully solve the issue.
There's other animals
Another
that
issue
really,
with their
really
stealth
like the
is
seabed.
not so much an issue with the stingray build itself, and more of a problem with a common strategy that both sharks and rays employ, which is to party up with smaller fish players. The larger shark or ray gains resistance to parasites as the fish help pick them off, and the fish gets free XP from eating the parasites, plus any scraps the ray leaves behind from its own
love the
meals.
way he talks about it.
The problem is, these fish tend to stick around even when the stingray tries to hide. And since their stealth stat is way worse, they can end up giving away the ray's location, even when it's otherwise completely hidden. Luckily,
Never
similar
thought
to their
about
sting
that.
and barb, their camouflage really only matters on the defensive. Neither ability comes into play for hunting,
look at them
as
crabs.
most stingrays prey upon crustaceans and shellfish, using a combination of suction and crushing mouthparts to dispatch them despite their tough armor. So, while I do think the stingray build has some flaws, it is at least a solid counter to crabs.
Oh, that's kind of disgusting. Sorry. I may not like stingrays anymore. I don't know why that... Yeah, it
So,
feels
while
so
I do think the
off.
stingray build has some flaws, it is
It's like, you see the legs, right, moving, and then he swallows it.
at least a solid counter to
Bloop. And when he
crabs,
comes out
which-
again, it's kind of broken and... Oh, I don't like that. I like my mental image of stingrays being kind of gentle giants, even though they're not really that big, but you know what I mean. Oh, that one I'm not a fan of.
Is important in such a carcinization-heavy method.
Oh,
Just
you're
like
taking
sharks,
points
stingrays
off
have the incredibly powerful
category,
perception-boosting
Mr.
perk
Stingray.
electroreception, which allows them to detect prey moving behind cover. Arguably overkill given that they're hunting snails and crabs, but it certainly does get the job done. Anyway, overall, the stingray is certainly no...
Slugs, or not slugs, snails and crabs are quite good at hiding, so it kind of makes sense.
Low tier, and all of its abilities are powerful in a vacuum. But this is one of those cases where a more focused game plan ends up being...
I see it! That's the stinger here! Oh! Like it's a hard bit on the base of the tail, or the first section of the tail. Not this whole, like, whip-like structure.
Being vastly more viable than a mix of strong but non-synergistic traits. I'd place the Stingray in C tier, but not all rays opt for such an unrefined strategy. Some rays completely drop the stinging barb perk and instead go all in on optimizing the ray's mobility. These are the devil rays, including the mobular ray, devilfish, and most importantly, the giant manta.
I like the shape.
Their larger, pointed wings take the ray's acrobatic abilities to the absolute max, allowing them a degree of turn control even greater than that of dolphins and sea lions. Just as with stingrays, this is great for dodging attacks, but also boosts the efficiency of their filter feeding. I poke fun at a lot of filter feeders for being lazy AFK XP farming builds. And part of the reason for this is that when filter feeding, most of them have to move through a cloud of plankton
I think that's how I would
then
play
turn and head back
if
around
this were
again
actually
if they want
an
to make another
MMO.
pass. Mantas are so agile that they can literally just spin to win, shredding through resource nodes without ever needing to leave and reset position.
What are those sounds? I know them. I definitely know them. What are those sounds? I have played this game. The sounds are activating some synapses in my brain. What is it from? Please, please, please tell me. I know of them.
Turning filter feeding into shredding.
Listen again. Listen again.
Mantas are so agile that they can literally just spin to win, shredding through resource nodes without ever needing to leave and reset position.
Balatro, maybe? Could be Balatro, actually. Oh!
Turning filter feeding into a much more active process, which is what enables them to power level to such massive sizes faster than, say, a whale shark.
Also, it's kind of super weird. Let me check that out. Yeah, like, this is super weird. Not like, oh, it's weird, but like, in a sense of... This is not really seen much. Like, this shape, this rounded, hollow shape. Well... as round and hollow as you can get, right? It's kind of real hard, like, you don't see much in nature, right?
Say
this shape here, like a bottleneck. Huh. Very interesting. Like, sure, you can sometimes you find like arthropod mandibles. You could technically say that any like mouth is sort of like a hollow shape, but like specific, like, because the mouth is, well, I don't know about this ray, but it could usually the mouths are on the underside, so this is not technically a mouth structure. Is it for steering? Maybe, I don't know. This is weird. What are they for?
Whale shark.
Sorry. I know I keep stopping. I just want to see. Yeah, no, this might be part of the mouth, because usually the mouth would be like kind of here, but it's not. It doesn't look like. So yeah, this might be part of the mouth. Very interesting.
The cephalic fins on their head also help direct the flow of ocean water
cephalic
directly into
fins.
their mouths,
see,
boosting their harvesting efficiency even further.
Okay.
With no
I just had to wait.
Attacks, mantas have to be prepared to tank a few hits. Though their mobility stat is solid, anything this large will need at least a little bit of time to build up speed. Thankfully, the manta's premium HP stat gives it plenty of health to work with when attacked.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Allowing them to absorb even the most devastating offensive moves. The manta's other stats are also shockingly high, with an intelligence stat higher than any other fish, and a stealth stat way higher than it needs to be. High enough that mantas even have a mid-level version of the color change ability, which they use mostly for communication to coordinate team strategies. So, while stingrays
like an octopus and like the scuttlefish, for example. Is it a cuttlefish? Cuttlefish, sorry. Cuttlefish. Let me check if this is the one. Yes, it is, yeah. Cuttlefish. Scuttlefish. Is that a Pokemon maybe? I don't know. Why do I know that word? Like, why is it so
the manta ray
clear in my mind?
In A tier. In addition to the manta, there are a few other Stingray side grades that are worth highlighting. I wish there was enough footage of these other builds in action to do a full tier list style video, but unfortunately decent gameplay footage is super limited.
Okay,
anyway, there are
so he
two
did
builds
find
that
some.
I think are
It's probably
taking
going to be tacked on
style
like
in interesting new
after
directions
the main
and
section of the
solving
video.
The shortcomings of the base Stingray. The first is the Porcupine Ray. While a piercing barb is powerful, having spines everywhere ensures all incoming attacks are punished automatically, rather than relying on the gamble of swinging your stinger. The only trade-off here is movement speed, as spikes increase hydrodynamic drag. But Stingrays aren't...
And since they are denser objects, they do increase your weight by quite a bit.
Super reliant on speed anyway, given how slow crabs...
Look at him! Look at this guy blowing, like, blowing in the sand.
Drag. But
look how silly he is.
Super reliant on speed anyway, given how slow crabs and snails are. I think it's well worth the cost.
So
and
cute.
I wouldn't be too shocked to see this technique catch on with the broader player base soon. There's a
is that a
reason
moray?
pufferfish and lionfish are high tier.
I don't like
Spikes are
morays.
Great, but what would be even better would be
probably because of the Little Mermaid movie. Unironically.
Dealing damage to an attacker before they even make contact. Enter the Electric Ray, which generates a damaging electric field around itself, just like the electric eel does. This powerful defense reliably hits opponents in any direction, and can be used for hunting as well. Because the Electric Ray never had any need to spec into a stinging barb, it never respec'd to remove evolution points from its caudal fin.
Also, this is something really wild that I'm not the first one to say it, I know of it, but, or rather, I know it. But, like, this is something that we hear about as children, right? Oh, the electric eel. Or if you were a smarter child than I, then you would have heard about the electric ray. And we just accept it, right? Yes, sure. There are animals out there that can shock you. They generate electricity. And then you grow up and you learn and you start playing Pokemon, so it's normalized, right? But, like, for real, stop and think about it. There's an animal out there that generates electricity, much like a battery, but, like, even stronger than a battery. Like, a lot stronger than a battery. And they fucking use it to hunt and defend themselves. What the hell? Like, what is this? Huh? This is not how nature works. We spent millennia to develop batteries. What? How?
Giving it much greater speed and acceleration. The shock move has a high stamina cost, but skilled players can use this to great effect, and there aren't many scenarios where it's not at least somewhat useful. It's especially potent against sharks, because their electro-sensibility actually amplifies incoming electric-type damage, making shock-based weapons one of their biggest weaknesses. Both of these builds could definitely argue for a spot
cool,
in
actually.
And
it's a hard counter to like one of the most overpowered builds in the ocean. This is so cool.
Honestly, the Electric Ray's favorable matchup against tiger sharks makes me even consider giving it S tier. The Manta Ray's efficient resource harvesting ability is one of the most interesting aspects of its kit. Efficiency is the name of the game, and it's also one of the most fun parts of this new mobile game I've been playing. Idle Obelisk Miner. Look, one thing about me, I'm a sucker for a good idle game.
Yes, it's kind of why I'm tempted to skip this, because I know how weak I am.
But the way they've taken that simple concept and
I love idle games. I genuinely do.
Genuinely impressive, with tons of cool skill trees, events,
I've played most of them by now.
I like upgrading my little drone miner guys, but some players might prefer to upgrade their pickaxe or their blast mining. And the
idea is to not click at all.
In fact, one of the biggest updates it's ever had.
Increase efficiency, increase offline speed.
Bigger than it already was. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, great, another microtransaction-ridden mobile game. But I can honestly say this is one of the most player-first mobile games I've ever played.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
That basically just focus on teaching you to spend money. Whereas this game has zero ads and never prompts you to spend. There are ways to buy extra goodies and power-ups, but it was clear to me when talking to their marketing team that they really do just genuinely want people to play the fun experience that they've built. It's
why am I tempted? I don't even play mobile games. I hate mobile games. Why? Stop it! Stop attacking me personally!
In the description. You'll be supporting the channel when you do. Hope you like it. Thank you for watching.
Oh
and
boy.
as always, good luck out there.
Sorry, I know this song. I know this song from a meme. What was the meme? If you know, it was this song, sure, but it was being played in some wooden wind instrument. I couldn't tell you which specifically. Like, felt like a pan flute, maybe. Oh shit, what was it? What was it? Oh, I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, this is gonna bother me. Oh no. Oh man. But yeah, this was great fun actually. I should watch more TierZoo. And by the way, if you want to see more TierZoo on this channel, please could you click like and subscribe so you keep up to date and you don't miss the next one. But yeah, this has been all from us for tonight. This was Are Stingrays Overpowered? No, not quite, but they are very good. A lot better than I gave them credit for. So yeah, super cool. But yeah, that's all from us for tonight. I hope to see you in the next one. But for now, ta-ra, bye-bye.